And the Oscar goes to...
The Brutalist just won 3 Oscars to add to its many awards and successes. But what led to this critically acclaimed opus? Let's rewind a decade and look at Brady Corbet's other historical drama that's divided into chapters and has a plot related to a world war, where characters speak in a foreign language and it feels like it's about a real person, even though it's fictional. Also, the opening credits are unusual. Stock footage is used. The score is intense. The script was co-written by Mona Fastvold, and it was shot in Hungary. This is the precursor to The Brutalist. This is The Childhood of a Leader. Based on a short story by Jean-Paul Sartre, the film is set in the countryside near Paris in 1919. An American diplomat is staying there with his family during the negotiations of the Treaty of Versailles. His young son Prescott's behavior has deteriorated since they moved, and he's become prone to tantrums. He gets himself and the household staff in trouble with his mother by disobeying their authority and acting out. What could this brat possibly grow up to be? Surely not a leader? The film garnered positive reviews and some festival awards, including 2 from Venice. It wasn't a hit with audiences, though, as its limited release only managed to bring in $250,000 against a $5 million budget. Not even Robert Pattinson's presence helped, though admittedly, he's barely in the movie. In any case, what audiences missed out on was an assured directorial debut with great-looking cinematography, a tense, thought-provoking story, and some good acting. Tom Sweet is excellent as young Prescott, and both Berenice Bejo, playing his mother, and Stacey Martin, playing his French tutor, give noteworthy performances. The outlier is Liam Cunningham as the father. His performance isn't bad per se, it's just that Corbett made the unfortunate decision to cast someone with a strong Irish accent to play an American.
These debates are healthy. More importantly, they're necessary.
Yikes. But what about this childhood then? The title unfortunately sets up certain expectations the film doesn't quite fulfill. Anyone coming into The Childhood of a Leader expecting to see an evil kid do horrible things will be disappointed. Prescott doesn't really do anything overtly bad, at least until he strikes his mother with a rock, and his tantrums mostly seem like age-appropriate misbehavior. Another expectation the film might set up is that the titular leader might be someone we know. While Prescott does grow up to be a fascist leader with a fanatical following, he's not meant to be Hitler or any other real figure. Not least of all, because Hitler was already 30 years old in 1919. But even if the film actually was about him, all we'd get to see is a little Austrian mama's boy fearful of a strict father. It's not like young Hitler stuck pins into a voodoo doll of a Jew, or young Stalin made lists of nannies to be killed, or little Mao caused a famine in the schoolyard. Instead of showing how a certain childhood might form a person to become a dictator, the film depicts the symbolic childhood of fascism itself. In a literal reading, the film perpetuates the popular belief that the Treaty of Versailles led directly to the formation of Nazi Germany.
We go after their coal. It will give them no chance to repay their debts or rebuild their nation.
Rebuild their nation? What right could the enemy possibly have to rebuild while the rest of the continent is starving to death?
The treaty certainly had harsh enough terms to severely cripple post-war Germany and sow discontent among its people. The Allies also had no interest in nourishing Germany's newly formed democracy, despite the country getting rid of its previous warmongering leadership even before the armistice was signed a year earlier. At the start of the film, Prescott throws some rocks at people and he is then repeatedly forced to apologize for his misbehavior. First to the priest and then, rather humiliatingly, to all the parishioners. He does so grudgingly and without feeling any real remorse. This parallels the situation around Article 231 of the treaty, in which Germany was grudgingly forced to take all blame for starting the Great War and quote-unquote apologize for it by ceding territory and paying reparations. But we don't need to look at the film as literally being just about Germany during the Weimar years. We can interpret its historical setting as a moment when deep-seated grievances were formed. Not all of them are even about Prescott himself. After he misbehaves again, a maid secretly gives him some food despite his mother's orders that he should go to bed without dinner. When she finds out, the mother immediately dismisses the maid for disobeying her. The distraught maid then swears revenge.
De les jours qui me restent à vivre, je le consacrerai à détruire votre famille.
Once again, a punishment is viewed as unjust, creating a grievance which leads to irrationally intense hatred. These events may seem like nothing, but they are seeds which will inevitably grow, or sparks that will cause a fire. This is symbolized in what is low-key the pivotal scene of the movie. A maid bumps into a side table and a candlestick lights the cord of a heavy curtain. This goes unnoticed, and the flame momentarily grows larger, threatening to burn the entire house down. Luckily, it peters out on its own, and nothing bad happens. This time. But the little fire was ignored, and the major fire hazards are left unchecked. The next time nobody notices a spark, the fire might grow too big to stop. Thank you for watching, and if you liked the video, please hit subscribe.